gives us a beautiful hymn of the vineyard, the beloved vineyard, and therefore prophet sings the vineyard song. I have planted a vineyard, and I have dug a hedge, and I have built a tower, and then I built a wine press, and then I started expecting grapes. What did I get? I got sour grapes or wild grapes. Dear friends, if you refer to the vineyard song, all these mighty prophets like Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Hosea, and Isaiah singing the vineyard of the Lord. And what is the vineyard of the Lord? It is the chosen people that were planted in Judah, that is in Jerusalem. God wanted that these chosen people must yield fruit that will last. But in the hymn continuation, I did not get the fruit I expected. I got thorns and briars, and therefore what will I do? I will open the hedges so that the wild animals may come and start devouring and trampling, so that it may not rain, it may grow in a wild way. Thorns and briars will disfigure it. And actually what happened, that is what the sort of punishment the Israelites got. After having given them every opportunity in life by God, they did not respond to the graces of God. Rather, they were careless, unrighteous, involved in violence. Now, if you read this whole chapter of 5 of Isaiah, you will find those people who were supposed to be the torchlight to the nations, light to the nations, exemplary people, what they did with all their selfishness. That's why God says, doomed you are, because you tried to add property to your property, house to your house, and consequently those people who have to live in that place do not have place to build their houses, do not have place to build their dwelling places, and do not have places to cultivate land. That's why the people of Israel became so selfish, amassing wealth for themselves, trying to grab the property of the poor, building houses after houses. As it were, one house is not enough, and not providing opportunities to the poor people to build their houses. That is the first reading, giving us a very powerful message. Dear friends, when we come to the third reading, it has a direct connection, because Jesus chooses this particular comparison of the vineyard, and he gives out this parable in chapter 21 of Matthew's Gospel. Jesus was in the temple. As I told you last Sunday, Jesus tried to put away all those people who were making business in the temple, money exchangers, those who were selling pigeons and goats. They had transformed the temple of God as a marketplace. And therefore Jesus makes a whip of cords and then chases them out, overturning the tables of these money exchangers, saying that do not transform the house of God as a marketplace. This is my Father's house. And at that moment, the chief priests and the elders come and pose questions to Jesus. On what authority you are doing this? You know, we have been doing this all the time. We have been doing business. Nobody questioned us. And who are you to come and question us and chase us away from the temple? And at that juncture, Jesus gives actually the parable of the two sons last Sunday. And following, we have the parable of the tenants. Now, when we look at the tenants, the landowner actually is an absentee landowner. You know, he takes practically the situation of Israel. There were a lot of landowners. They were going, after entrusting this land to the tenants. Now, here in Vancouver, there are so many landlords, you know, those who have big buildings. What they do, they give it to the tenants, right? They appoint a manager and they take care of it. They collect rents, and perhaps those owners of the buildings or properties, they may not live in Vancouver. They may be in Australia, they may be in Bahamas, or they may be in another place enjoying their life because they think that they have to enjoy the fruits of their labor. That was the situation because these landowners were normally absentee landowners. They would lease the land to the tenants and go to Jerusalem, to Rome or Damascus. These were the centers of commerce. And what they would do, as we have in Vancouver today, a lot of places of entertainment, in those villages of Israel, they did not have entertainment. They did not have places of relaxation. They would go to big cities. And what were the big cities? Rome, Jerusalem, Damascus. Far away. So the parable is very clear. The absentee landlord wants his produce back, entrusting with the tenants. And now, when we situate these tenants, the tenants who were to take care of the land, they were always grumbling tenants. You know, they wanted to have more power. They wanted to have more profits. They were practically against the landowners. And consequently, they had a kind of resentment in their heart against the landowners. And on various occasions, the literal parable was executed. Practically, as Jesus said, they would beat their servants when they would come and ask for their produce. Now here, we have the imagery that is important. What the landlord did, he had a wine press, and then he had hedges, and then he built a tower. Now when we think about hedges were put, or the boundary or the wall was put to protect the wine vineyard from the wild animals. And when there were grapes, there would be thieves entering and stealing. And consequently, they had to put very strong boundaries to protect the produce. And the tower had double purpose. One to watchtower to watch for the enemies or for wild animals so that the land may be protected from them. And it was also a place for the tenants to stay. And what is the wine press? I give out a word today. That is, in the wine press, there would be a higher trough and a lower trough. The higher trough, now the spelling of it is T-R-O-U-G-H. Okay? Very often we do not understand what is trough. Trough is a place where the wine is pressed. The grapes are pressed. The juice flows from higher trough through a channel to a lower trough. The juice is collected and then it is made into wine. So that is the wine press. These two important aspects. The higher trough channels the juice to the lower trough, and the juice is collected in the lower trough and then it is fermented and made into wine. Now, when we look at the imagery here, what is important for Jesus? Because Jesus was directing this parable to the chief priests and the elders. Now let us apply this parable to our own life. All of us are tenants, remember that. And who is the landowner? God. And where is the vineyard? Where is the vineyard? Vineyard is everything that is entrusted with us. All of us are responsibly called to fulfill God's promises. That's why in chapter 15 of John's Gospel, Jesus gave out this beautiful comparison. I am the vine, you are the branches. And you are called to produce fruit that will last. That is an invitation to all of us. Now we might think, oh, I do not have a vineyard, I do not have many things, you might say, but it is wrong. We have so many things. You know, first of all, we are given this beautiful temple of God. You know, this is the vineyard. And who am I? I am the soul. Soul, the spirit, and the mind. I have to take care of this whole vineyard. You know, the whole body is a talented body. And now, remember, anything that goes wrong with our body is a rebellion. is a rebellion by the tenants. And how it happens? If I do not take care of the talent, resources, my body, my eyes, my brain, my heart, if I do not take care of it, that means I am a soul, my mind, my spirit, I am a bad tenant. I am not taking care of the things that are entrusted with me. That is one thing. Interpreting. I am trying to interpret it. The second interpretation would be the parents. Parents are tenants. The property that is entrusted with you, the children, that is the vineyard. And God is the owner. We cannot say, I am the owner, oh, I am the parent, I am the father, I am the mother, I am earning, I am spending, I am the boss. God is the owner. So the question to all of us is, am I taking care of the vineyard that is entrusted with me? The same thing applies to me as a pastor. Same thing applies to Archbishop Michael Miller. All of us are entrusted with something to take care so that there may be good fruits that will last. That is the fundamental thing that we have to understand. It is not the idea of a vineyard just to understand it and to forget. We have to apply it to our own life. It could be also with the resources we have, talents. Now you see the parable of the talents you heard, the one who entrusted with 10 talents, 5 talents, they multiplied and made 10 more, 5 more. The one who received 1 talent, he went and buried, and then he was punished for it. And that is why here, when God does not see the fruits that are produced, He will get angry. And what happens is that He will open the hedges. That means everything will go uncontrolled. I have seen so many people in my ministry, people who were careless in their life, very careless in spite of the warnings given by their parents or by the institute owners or organizers. They were so careless, they lost their job, they lost their health, they lost their families, they lost their wealth because they were not carefully taking care of what is entrusted with them. It applies to each and every one of us. I can give you multiple examples how we can be truly good tenants. The last part of the gospel, Jesus says, the stone which the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Sometimes it can happen that a person who was rejected in the society, in the family or an institution, perhaps that person becomes the cornerstone, because we human beings always are fickle and careless, and we do not have the fullness of wisdom to understand who the other person is. The riches, the graces, the other person receives. That's why a very important invitation to all of us, never ever to make judgment about others. This is a real fundamental teaching that comes down from the mouth of Christ from the beginning. Never ever to make a judgment about others. Whether they are our sons and daughters, our neighbors, or people in our parish, or members of an organization or community, on my part, unless I really see the facts in black and white, I do not have rights to make any judgment. And that's why the stone which the builders rejected. Who is that stone? Jesus Christ. He came with all this wonderful teaching, and the chief priests and the elders misunderstood his mission and they rejected him. And what they did? They crucified him. They killed him. But God made him the cornerstone. That's why we come back to the letter to the Philippians. St. Paul says, do not worry about anything, but in prayer and supplication and in thanksgiving, make requests to God, and the God of peace, who goes beyond of our understanding, will keep safe our hearts and our minds in Jesus Christ. So do not worry about anything. Why should we worry? Worry kills us all the time. Worry kills us all the time. There are many people who keep on worrying about what is going to happen after 10 years. What is going to happen after 25 years? When there is a beautiful life of another 2-3 weeks or 10 weeks or 1 year. Why should you think for another 10 years to come? Some people are so much worried, after 25 years, will this money enough for me? Worry kills us. That's what St. Paul very clearly tells, do not worry, but carry everything in prayer and supplication and thanksgiving in praise to God, that He will provide you a kind of peace that cannot be comprehended by our mind and heart. But He will keep us safe. And then look for something that is noble, that is just, that is pure, that is gracious, that is honorable, that is pleasing. Keep on looking for excellence, and that will help you to live a great, wonderful life in the community. Therefore, dear friends, as we are celebrating Guardian Angels Feast today, I just want to wind up this reflection by just inviting me and you, all of us, because we are stewards, we are tenants, but we all must be good tenants. Good tenants in the sense after the mind of Christ. We have heard it said that though He was in the form of God, He did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped. We all of us are talented one way or the other. But then what is important is that I need to bring down my ego, humble myself as Christ humbled Himself on the cross. And this is an invitation to all of us that with humility and respect and love, we need to create a family of God. And that is Guardian Angels family. And then what happens is we create God's kingdom around us. That's why Jesus very clearly says, the tenants, bad tenants, the kingdom will be taken away from them, the vineyard will be taken away from them, and it will be entrusted with those people who can render and give fruits for God's kingdom. We all of us are called to bear fruits for God's kingdom. There was a wonderful family in Japan, and they had a beautiful small baby by name Christy Yamaguchi. And she had twisted legs, and the parents thought that she is going to be always a physically challenged child. And they emigrated to United States, and they tried their best to provide help to this little child, and they made her work hard, and she had to get up early in the morning every day and go for ice skating, practice, and then only she could go to school. Christy Yamaguchi, as she grew, with her hard efforts, she became a cornerstone. She won the gold medal in the figure skating of women in the 16th Olympic that was held in France, Albertville, in 1992. Won the gold medal. And then in 1996, she started a beautiful organization, Live Your Dream Foundation. Always Dream Foundation. And that foundation helps those children with physical disabilities to give them to realize their dream of life. Dear friends, in our lives, we always have opportunities to help others to live their dream. First of all, I invite you to help your own family members to realize their dream. It is not that we spend everything to realize the dream of any other person. First, our obligation to give every opportunity that is needed for our family members to live their dream. And then we extend that particular help to those people who are around us, maybe in an institution, in the society, or in the world. Today we recall to mind the violence and the hatred that exists in the Middle East. Just imagine the plight of those thousands and thousands of children without food, without shelter, and the Christians are fleeing their hometown to be safe in places where they can be safe. Therefore, Pope Francis is appealing also for a generous help for these people who are suffering in the Middle East. There will be information provided to all of us. As we celebrate the feast of our guardian angels, dear friends, let us ask the Lord to bless us abundantly. As we have received already so many blessings, that He may continue to bless us, that this small church may become a seed of God's kingdom around here. Kindly rise to profess now.